Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. The next page in our taco manual takes us to one of the most family-friendly taco fillings that I know. It is picadillo de res. So this is a beef picadillo. It starts with ground beef. It's got some potatoes in there. All of the flavors that most people would associate with something that is incredibly savory and incredibly satisfying, and certainly a crowd pleaser. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to start the browning of the meat, and I will tell you, people oftentimes don't brown ground beef enough, and so they're missing out on so much of the flavor. So we're really going to brown this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I start with some oil. This could just be vegetable oil or olive oil, either one, enough to lightly coat the bottom of a very large skillet like this. I have 1.5 pounds of meat here, and I'm going to put it into the skillet, and then I'm going to break it up into small chunks. And as I break it up into the small chunks, I will then leave it just undisturbed until it's richly browned underneath. So just break it up like that. I'm working here over a medium-high heat. So I'll break it up like that. And then just stop. Don't go back to it and keep stirring it. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people, when they cook ground beef, don't actually get the flavor that they could get out of it, because they're constantly stirring it. And then while that is browning, which will take 7 or 8 minutes, I'm going to chop up everything else that we're going to need for the recipe. What I want to show you here is that when I turn this over, it's really beautifully browned. Kind of think of it like if you were doing a smash burger or something like that, and you wanted to get it nice and crispy. That's what we're looking for here in this ground meat as well. Now, I like kind of fatty meat for this because I just think it makes a more satisfying taco filling. So this is the one that's 80% lean. Now at this point, since I'm turning it over to brown the other side, I'm going to take the onion and sprinkle that over the top. Once I get it browned on the other side, I will mix that onion in more evenly, but we'll let it get started cooking here with it like that. Before adding the potatoes, they need to be cooked. You could blanch them in salted water. In my kitchen, I just find it easier to splash them with some water, give them a little bit of salt, and then put them in the microwave for about 4 to 5 minutes until they're very tender. I have a cover that I keep here in the microwave. If you cover yours with plastic wrap, just remember to poke some holes in the top of it. I'm going to put this on here for 4, and then I'll check them to make sure that they're completely tender before adding them to our picadillo. Okay, I have broken up all of the pieces, these beautifully browned bits of meat. The onions are all translucent now. These just gave me the little beep letting me know that they are ready to take the top off. You'll have to watch for the steam on this stuff because you could burn yourself pretty easily. I need to tip off all of the excess liquid here that I put on them. So just tip that off. And then these guys are going to go straight into the pan. And I'm going to sprinkle them, get all of those out of there. And then sprinkle them with some chopped garlic here. We'll stir this around for a couple of minutes, probably 3 or 4 minutes, until the potatoes begin to soften a bit and sort of lose their edges, meaning that they're going to help thicken this mixture here. Next ingredients that are going to go in, you could use fresh tomatoes for this, but I actually think that you'll get a more consistent end result if you use the canned tomatoes, diced tomatoes here, juice and all. These are the fire roasted ones, which I think just add another layer of flavor in there. So I'm going to stir those in. At this point, as we're stirring all of the other flavorings in, you can break up the pieces of tomato as you go here, but I just want to combine them nicely with everything that's in this skillet. And then we have 2 ingredients that you will add to your own discretion, okay? One is chopped pickled jalapeños, which I think add a really nice brightness to this. So add as many or as little as you like on that one. I'm adding 4 pieces here. And then I have some olives because I love olives in this. If you're not an olive person, you could just leave those out if you wanted to. So we'll put all the chopped olives in there. And then I'm going to stir all of that together. And then we will add the other seasonings. And I've kind of gone with the northern way of seasoning a picadillo like this. Oh, by the way, some people actually like to add toasted almonds to this, which is really delicious. And if you wanted to make a very special picadillo, you might want to add the toasted almonds to it. Okay, I'll set that right there, and let's talk about all of the spicing that I said was sort of northern style. So this is about, 2 teaspoons or so of Mexican oregano are gonna go in here. I buy it at the Mexican grocery store, so it's always in the whole leaf form. So you'll rub those leaves between your hands here. And the next thing that I'm going to add to this is black pepper. And I've already ground about a teaspoon of black pepper that will go in here. And then the last thing that we're going to add to this is cumin. It's not super common in Mexico that people toast cumin, though I see more and more recipes with toasted cumin in them. So feel free to toast this in a dry skillet if you would like, and about a teaspoon of that. I prefer always to crush the cumin seeds right before I use them. Their flavor is so much better. It's so much livelier. And there are certain things about cumin that can be off-putting to some people, and you don't find that in fresh ground cumin. That's only in stuff that has come pre-ground, I think. Okay, so now I will put the fresh ground cumin in here and then start mixing everything together here. We're missing one ingredient here that is really, I think, brings this whole thing together. It is what in Mexico would be called salsa inglesa. Here we call it Worcestershire sauce. And it's going to give us a really beautiful, sort of deep, rich umami. A lot of people in Asia call Worcestershire sauce the English version of soy sauce. So think about it doing the same things that soy does. I need just about a tablespoon of it in here, so I'll sprinkle that over the top. And then we're going to let this all cook together until the liquid has pretty much evaporated and the tomatoes have broken up. And then we'll taste it and we'll give it a seasoning of salt because we have the Worcestershire in there, because we have the olives in there, and the pickled jalapenos, all seasoned things. We may not need very much salt in this at all. Time to give it a taste. To me, it's perfect. It doesn't need any salt or anything because we've added all of those salty items to it. So let's build a taco now. I have these really lovely blue corn tortillas, which are very popular right now around Chicago. We make them a couple of days a week at our restaurants. And then I'm going to take them, I need a bigger spoon for this, and put the filling, our picadillo de res, on top of these guys in very traditional Mexican style. And then we've got a couple of options here. I will say that really good on this is queso fresco. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of that over the top here. That they're done basically. You'd want to have a salsa. I've put out some salsa verde here, a roasted tomatillo salsa, but I actually like these a lot with Mexican hot sauce. So I'm going to put just a dash of Mexican hot sauce over these guys. And then if you want to, you could make a very simple guacamole, the kind that you would find in a lot of the taquerias, and then put a dollop of that over the top. Avocado with this well-browned picadillo is always a very welcome sight. A little bit more queso fresco over the top of it there. And then these, well, that's a pretty hefty taco, but man, I'm looking forward to it.